another 30 minutes after that, I'd say they kept bringing in chairs. I saw Jody go in the other room, bring in about another 10 chairs, and then another 10 chairs, it was a lot of fun to watch it fill up and fill up. So congratulations, that was a lot of fun.
Right.
Um, so I've kind of compiled some interesting data I wanted to share with everybody today, and um, I find this really intriguing. This tells you how stock markets and psychology and how all this works. I find this really intriguing on the psychological side of how all this works because, and I kind of relate it this way. If you ever bought a house, I bought this house, and some of you may have had the same experience. I bought this house in Buckhead off of North Ivy, off of Wyuka back in 2008. And so I built this pool, and the house had basically a basement in it, four concrete walls. I refinished the basement into another bedroom in a big, 120-inch big screen TV with a lounge and all kinds of area, another bathroom, kind of a cool little place to go down and watch sporting events or something, and held a New Year's Eve party there, for a Super Bowl party there. Watched the Super Bowl with a bunch of friends. So in that process, when they built the pool, they had cut off the drainage to this back area, but they had some window wells, and when it rained, the window wells would fill up with water. Well, I didn't realize it one day. I'm up above ground, and I walked down the basement, and there's about 3 inches of water in the basement. And if anybody's ever experienced that, it's kind of an eerie feeling. You got to go, oh my gosh. Luckily, it was all tile. So I was able to get in there and clean it all up. But they had to dig a drain underneath the pool. They actually have a machine that goes in. Well, that's a whole nother story. But my point is, the story is that the analogy is that when you're above ground and you've got, this flood going on in your basement, but when you're above ground, you really don't pay attention to it much. You're dry, everything's fine, the sun's out, but you got this problem, water problem that's happening underneath, and you're just kind of oblivious. Your mind isn't paying attention to it, and that's kind of what I want to say that's I think is going on right now. The CPI was out today, uh, and the CPI rose 0.1% as a percentage of of what was expected to be 0.2%, May from April, which was less than what the economy or economists expected. And so that was a positive, the market thought. So the futures were kind of negative this morning early, and then they turned around. Markets are back up again. So, and then last Friday also, the jobs report came out pretty positive, and so the markets were up again. And then I always talk about Nvidia and the tech sector. Even if you watch Tesla lately, it's been pretty strong. Nvidia strong, Meta, a lot of the tech stocks are strong, and that seems to be buoying the market and keeping everything kind of moving forward. Um, the S&P is pretty close to 1.5%, almost 1% off its all-time high. But if you look a little deeper into the numbers, the jobs growth for the past 2 months was revised down recently by 95,000 total between those 2 months. So the average monthly growth over the first 5 months of the year, averaged now 124,000 as compared to 168,000 for the first 5 months of the last year. So if you do that comparison, you can kind of see there's a slower growth of new jobs happening year over year. And if you take the unemployment ratio number, which was 4.2% recently, as the payroll grew by 139,000 recently, it actually rose from 4.187 to 4.244, going out 3 decimal points. And it was up 71,000 fewer jobs, or people basically lost their jobs. but now there's 7.23 million people looking for a job. So we're seeing that basically, and that's 7.23 people basically on unemployment benefits. So that's a big number. That's the highest number since COVID, actually. And then we're seeing a decline in the workforce just over the last year of 625,000 people that got out of the workforce. And then we've seen a 696,000 less people employed. So when you couple that together, you're looking at a little over 1.3 million people basically impacted by less jobs available, people out of the market. Initial employment claims are off by about 247,000 just recently. And a recent survey of small businesses shows that only 12% of small businesses now say they're going to hire new people over the next 2 quarters. So you're seeing this, layoff thing also starting to happen more and more. Less people are being hired. Real GDP is off. I think it was up in the second quarter because everybody was front running the tariff problem that they foresaw. And I think back to this number, the CPI number, there's been a freeze on the tariffs for that 90 days. So we're not seeing the real impact of inflation yet. Hotel data, this is interesting. Hotel data shows that occupancy is down 8 of the last 9 weeks. Travel in the U.S., you can go to TSA and pull this kind of number, but this is interesting that fewer people are going through checkpoints. In the last 28 days, it's down something like around 12% over year. So less people are traveling. Hotel occupancy is down. Single family homes permits fell to a 2-year low in April. Some of that's probably because of the high mortgage rates, also the high prices, weakening demographics, contributing to a lot of that. Auto sales are weakening from March, April, and May. They've gone down each month. A lot of that are high prices and low inventories. Oil has, the one saving grace of oil has been holding around the $63-$65 a barrel range, and that's brought prices down from a high around 346 last year to around 313 is the national average. Here in Atlanta, I saw the other day it's around 286. I saw some gas. So the message here I'm trying to forecast here for you is the elephant in the room still is the tariffs and what the impact of that is going to be. I think this all appears to be countering some of the spending in other areas, like the AI is still, pulling the market up, and that's the only thing that's really holding it. But we're seeing more and more job cuts. We're seeing more and more people getting laid off, and we're seeing this. By the end of the year, we anticipate to see inflation start to really kick in. And it's a slow, gradual kind of process of the economy slowing. And this puts the Federal Reserve in a real tricky situation. What they're going to do, if you watch Trump, he's trying to push the Fed to lower rates right now, and then and they're sitting on their heels because they want to make sure inflation is under control before they start lowering rates again. Because if they did it too quick and inflation pops in, it's going to cause all kinds of problems. So the message I'm trying to repeat here, maybe for everybody, is I think there's going to be a lot more people out there looking for opportunities. Maybe Jody, that's why it was so crowded last night. I think people are open-minded to listening our story. I mean, we got a great story to tell people. And this is a time to really get out there aggressively and tell people what we're doing and how we're doing it and how we can protect assets for people and show them another path, a second income, maybe could be a full-time income for a lot of people. I heard Zach do a good job last night, and Kimberly and Jody, it was exciting to watch all that. So congratulations on that. So back to you.
Thank you so much, guys. What incredible information. And, it's very interesting. He said something that I want to really jump in on, and that is that it's time to be aggressive with our message. It's a crowded world. There's a lot of information, misinformation, disinformation going in people's ears. They are looking for somewhere. If they have money, they're looking for somewhere to protect it. If they're trying to go grow their future, they need to know this is the place to do that. This is the industry. This is the system. And people are so busy sometimes and they're so focused all over, or they're in despair. We've got to be the ones to get them in front of hope and all these wonderful things. So thank you so much, Tim. All right, guys, we got some great things to go over now with the great Mauricio Garcia. He's working fast and furious to give us all the tools that we need to be able to go forward. And remember, guys, it's a dicey thing. I want to say this. One of the things that frustrates people about any successful person, Trump, what he's trying to do on the economy, forget all the other stuff. I'm not saying forget it because I can't. That's certainly a big part of my life. But what I'm saying is that anytime someone gets growth, there's great change. And change is something people vehemently do not like. But if you're around the great disruptors, if you're around people like my dad will never let you feel comfortable. He never lets me feel comfortable. You can ask Tim about that. You can ask anyone that's been around him, or any great leader, whether it's a Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, or whoever, and understand that's whenever we're going to go build this, if you have to learn one or two more things, whether it's through technology or you have to go do a few other things, it takes that to be great. We have all sides of this. These tools, when you have, I cannot help that you have to know how to use an email in today's world to be successful. That's just how it is. I mean, basic things, and we have to have people at least get basic information. They've got to know that we have a simple way for them to go use the tools. They all know they want this great tools. They see all these great things out there. Let them know we have a simple way for us to do that. So, Mauricio, excited to hear from you, buddy.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Sorry about the attire, but been working all night and all morning. But yeah, let's simplify this whole process. I'd like to kind of share today the most basic of how we can leverage the tool. So I'm going to dive right into it because obviously being a producer, being out there, I know the pains, and I think this is going to solve for I'd say we're all of us, and even for the brand new people, right? We're going to recruit the planet, but we're also going to keep the planet, and we're going to give the tools, the dynamite, the whatever you call the whatever a miner uses. Like these are the tools that will help us mine that $156 trillion assets and 100 trillion moving in the next 20 years. So the F&A journey, I think, is the number one piece here that we need to master. The rest of the things that you'll see here are to support the findings. Like once you have the F&A, then you're able to deploy some of these things, and you will see more integration as we get feedback from you. Obviously, expect a few hiccups, expect a few server as we scale this to where it needs to be so that 50,000 people can use it at one time, maybe 500,000 people can use it at one time. Because I tell you what, this tool does not exist in the entire country, I would say world. It doesn't, because I've used the most sophisticated ones that are out there that cost a fortune, from the annuity geniuses that cost $200-300 a month. And they only have one aspect of this, the little aspect, which is finding the annuity. And then, I say this, but I want to bring you back. Nowadays, people know what Salesforce does, right? Or HubSpot and ClickFunnels and Go High Level. Before, in order for you to market something in the marketplace, you would have to create a website that costs thousands of dollars, and then you have to get automation, and you have to get all these kind of techies to come in and integrate and put all these things together that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars until companies like HubSpot came in, and now you can pay them a few $100 a month, and you have all the integration. You can do Zapier, and then you can do your automation CRM. It's all in one. But I have not seen an all-in-one financial. It's almost like it's a ClickFunnels Go High Level moment, but in the financial industry that works, but it works simple at the same time. And so I would like to give you a demonstration, or maybe raise your hand. I'm going to do this I'm going to decide what to show based on the hands I see. Raise your hand if you have not seen a presentation about how to do the F&A journey. I just want to get a feel for how many people have not seen it and cater to the majority. Who has not seen the F&A journey? Like, how do you have that first conversation to gather data? I'd like to show that. Okay, so everybody here has seen it. So let's just skip that for today then, because I see no hands being raised. So if you look at the way that things are right now, right? Let's say the journey. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna go and I'm going to show you something that we just created that will explain the actual script that goes through. This will be on the agent skill, the super agent skills, which is a conversation of how you have that first conversation. So let's listen to it. I think this will be a great training because this should definitely expand your knowledge, your vision.
Realistic first meeting.
And when you're able to send your new agents through this for them so that they can practice, obviously you're doing a lot of field training, but being able to send them to something like this, which is going to be in this area right here. So I'm going to make some updates later today, and you hear the super agent skills. You can see here we have the dialogues.
First meeting script and the
So you're gonna know how to do the first meeting, gather the data, close the gap, gather data. This is what you're gonna hear right now, and then how to build the case, how to do a second meeting, how to take the applications. And to do this, you have to know how to take illustrations, take applications, and move the money. How do you move the money from Wall Street, from the banks, from retirement accounts in a compliant way? And you have all the implications, the tax considerations, the how to do it, and the sample conversations of, if you know how to have this conversation and walk that line and be compliant, and when you call with the client to, the company as a facilitator of the information that the company needs for you to get the funds, not to make any recommendation. It's how you do it here. And obviously how you deliver the policy. Like, I think these are the skills an agent needs to have: how to have the meeting, how to run the illustrations, how to run the applications, how to tell the application, how to move the money. You need to fund the plans, and then how to deliver the policy and do it in a masterful way. Those are the super agent skills. So you'll find what you're going to see right now, what you're going to hear right now, you will find it in the super agent skills meeting, first meeting. This is what we're going to hear. And I want you to hear this because I also want your feedback. And since Tim's here, it's also for compliant, just to kind of know where we're taking this and how it's working. So I think you guys will get a good experience from this. So here we go.
Conversation, Joe and Carol. Scene, first client meeting, office or Zoom setting.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Carol. It's great to finally meet you both. Thank you for taking the time today.
Of course, we're glad to be here.
Yeah, we've been meaning to sit down with someone for a while.
Well, perfect timing then. Before we jump into the money stuff, tell me, what's something you're both really excited about right now? Maybe a trip, a project, even a new recipe?
A recipe? Well, I've been trying to get Joe to eat more vegetables. That's been my project.
And I've been resisting professionally.
Hey, I respect a man with conviction, but maybe we can find a balanced portfolio and a balanced plate?
If you can do that, we'll sign today.
Deal. I always say financial planning is like a well-balanced diet. You need a bit of everything and not too much sugar. Just curious, what do you both do for work?
I'm an IT manager for a logistics company.
And I'm a high school science teacher.
Very cool. I bet you both have totally different problem-solving styles. Joe, you're probably the structured systems thinker, and Carol, you're more about adaptability and patience.
Nailed it.
How'd you know?
Let's just say I've worked with a lot of couples. It's kind of like therapy, but with spreadsheets. Now, just so I can tailor our conversation today, what would you both like to accomplish as a result of our meeting?
Honestly, we want to make sure we're on track. Retirement feels closer than we expected, and we're not sure if we're doing enough.
And we have 2 kids in college, so we're juggling a lot right now.
Thank you for sharing that. Totally understandable. Many people in your stage of life feel the same way. I believe we can absolutely help you get clarity and create a strong plan. Before we explore any strategies or numbers, I'd like to walk you through our planning journey so you can see how we approach things.
This is where you open the Financial Journey tab that shows the financial journey steps.
This is our process. In this first meeting, we focus on your goals, your immediate needs, like making sure your family is properly protected, and what requires deeper analysis. We'll also do a financial needs analysis today to make sure nothing is overlooked. Sound good?
Yes.
Let's do it.
This is where you click on the 3 Events tab in the F&A journey and start presenting the 15 minutes of magic using the slides provided. You can show all the slides or simply pick 1 or 2. The goal is to give the client an overview of what we do and how we approach it.
Let's start with the wealth formula. Money plus time times rate of return minus taxes minus inflation equals wealth. You have to give your money time, a strong rate of return, and protect it from taxes and inflation.
That makes sense, especially the tax part. We always feel like we're losing so much there.
And inflation too. Everything's gone up lately, except my salary.
Exactly. Groceries are becoming luxury items. Next, every dollar you have and will ever earn goes into one of 3 financial worlds: protection, potential, or hybrid.
All right, let's hear it.
The world of protection, CDs, savings, and fixed annuities. Very safe, but very slow. The world of potential, stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, lots of upside, but also lots of risk. The hybrid world, tools like FIAs and IULs, they let you participate in market gains, but protect you from losses.
So you're saying we can have upside without the downside?
Exactly. We help you find the right balance between all 3 worlds.
This is how you explain the tax bucket slide in a simple, easy to understand way.
Next, taxes. Every dollar you save is either taxed now, later, or never.
Wait, did you say tax never?
Yes. Think Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, and cash value life insurance. Most people are too focused on tax-deferred options, not realizing they're building a tax bomb for retirement. Our goal is to achieve a proper balance between all 3 tax buckets to help protect against the risk of higher taxes in the future while taking advantage of deductions. If needed, we can show you how to gradually move more of your assets into the tax-free bucket to avoid unnecessary taxes in retirement.
Next is how you explain the X curve and how it can segue into the 3 life events interactive calculations that help determine the retirement gap and the protection gap.
Let me show you the X curve. Early in life, we have more responsibility and less wealth. Later, that flips. That's why early protection and smart accumulation matter. What I want to highlight in the X curve is that the protection line is composed of 2 types of coverage: temporary and permanent. In the earlier years, we need term insurance so that in the event of premature death, the mortgage and debts are paid off, at least 10 to 15 years of income is replaced, and of course, there are funds to provide your children with at least 4 years of college. In the later years, once the house is paid off, you're debt-free, and the children are independent, you still need protection. That's where permanent insurance comes in. Here's how we break it down using the acronym LIFEW. LIFEWL is for living benefits and long-term care. So as we age, the likelihood of developing a chronic, critical, or terminal illness increases. There's also a 73% chance we'll need long-term care at some point, often due to loss of mobility. Care at home or in a nursing facility can be expensive, currently around $9,000 per month, and the average stay in a nursing home is 3.5 years. That can quickly drain a retirement portfolio. I is for IRA, 401k inheritance taxes. The truth is, only your spouse can inherit a retirement account without immediate tax consequences. Your children cannot. That's why we use a tool that takes a conservative approach to estimate the taxes due on your retirement accounts at life expectancy. A permanent life insurance policy can be structured to cover those taxes, protecting your assets and legacy. F is for final expenses. When we pass away, our loved ones are often left with immediate costs, funeral services, burial or cremation, medical bills, and other end-of-life expenses. On average, these final expenses can range from $10,000 to $15,000 or more. Without proper planning, this burden falls on family members during an already difficult time. By including permanent life insurance in your plan, you can ensure these expenses are covered, giving your family peace of mind and space to grieve without financial stress. E is for estate planning. There are costs associated with settling an estate, including probate, legal fees, and possibly estate taxes. We conservatively estimate those potential costs and plan accordingly. Depending on the size of your estate and current tax laws, you may owe estate taxes. Our strategy accounts for that possibility as well. Finally, W is for widow's cushion. When a spouse passes away, the financial impact on the surviving partner is significant. They lose one Social Security check, half of the standard deduction, and shift from married filing jointly to single filer status, which pushes them into a higher tax bracket sooner. The estimated lifetime financial impact of this is around $400,000. That's why it's essential to have a cushion in place. Finally, we must acknowledge this. The best time to get permanent protection is today. We're not getting any younger, and time takes a toll on our health. Statistically, you're more likely to qualify and be healthier today than 20 or 30 years from now. Does this make sense to you guys?
It does.
Yes, it makes sense.
Just want to add, guys, that as I'm trying to navigate, to give you a visual, pretty much so you understand what this dialogue is, and I want to invite all of us to kind of just see it, because a lot of you have a lot of experience in the field, and the objective is to simplify the dialogue, to have a place where people know how to have it, because in the end, we're going to this first meeting and we're trying to accomplish three things on that first meeting. And number one is we want to make sure that we close the gap. We leave that family better than we found them by making sure we take a term policy to get them properly protected. And number two, if we collect an F&A, right? And that's a lot of reasons why you want to have the F&A completed. That's going to be your center of intelligence, which is the hub to be able to do amazing things. I'm going to show you in the end something that's going to blow your mind. If you don't think running illustrations, taking an application and submitting in 3 seconds, I'll make you a believer. And then, but we need the F&A to do all that. And then obviously book a second meeting to come in and do the rest of the planning. So just bear with me here and look at this and listen to this, because I am looking for feedback. We're going to improve this thing usually together. So let's continue with it.
Hey, Mauricio, real quick. I was just going to mention, guys, understand this is the verbiage for you guys to get trained on how to give this presentation.
Right.
You guys go give it. This is you learning how to go through and do it. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jody. Exactly. That's why this is it. So we have it for first, second meeting, everything. It's all going to be scripted with visuals. We're going to make a visual. We're going to make a movie. So this first we got to get the text. And then for people that like the stories, and we'll do that. In the beginning, we're trying to use a little bit of humor. It didn't come across because obviously it's a little bit difficult to teach some of these tools how to do that. But you get the idea. This is not to you to play it to the client. It's for you to learn what to say. So let's continue. And I'll be, whatever I'm doing in my computer is to kind of support right now, give you a little visual of what's going on.
This is where you scroll down to find the 3 life events and financial planning calculator.
Now, in order to make this more interactive, I want to walk you through 3 key life events that we will all experience. Here they are. First, we will do everything in our power to maintain our current lifestyle, which is funded by our earnings today. Second, once we retire, we will want to maintain that lifestyle, but the income will need to come from our assets. Therefore, we need to determine the size of the nest egg required to produce the income needed in retirement to maintain our lifestyle. accounting for inflation. Finally, one day we will die, so we need to be prepared in case we die too soon or live too long. To address these, we will use the 3 Life Event Financial Planning Calculator to visualize what this looks like today and identify any gaps. Let's begin with step 1, which focuses on the first 2 life events, how much we need today and how much we will need in retirement to maintain our lifestyle. You are married, so let's add the names here, Joe and Carol. Now, the first question is, if you were retired today, how much would need to be deposited into your checking account on the first of the month to cover your current lifestyle?
$7,000.
What are your ages? Joe?
I'm 40 years old.
Carol?
I'm 38 years young.
Now, realistically, at what age would you like to live exclusively from your Social Security, savings, and investments?
Realistically, I mean, we would like to retire at 55, but let's say 65.
Okay, let's say 65. Now, if you were to pool together all your savings, investments, and retirement accounts, how much would that total roughly? It doesn't have to be exact, just a ballpark figure for retirement planning purposes.
If we exclude the checking account, I say we have about $185,000.
Okay, and how much are you saving monthly right now? Again, this can include any amounts you're adding to your retirement accounts, Roth IRA, investments, etc.
Well, it varies, but I'd say it's about $800 a month.
Now, if the plan suggests that you need to save more to reach your goal, how much more do you think you could add on a monthly basis without stressing yourself out?
I think that if we really did a little more budgeting, we could add an extra $300.
Okay, let's run the numbers with the $800 you're currently saving and see where that takes us and whether more is needed.
Okay, let's do that.
Finally, Joe, what is your annual income?
It's about $85,000.
Carol, what is your annual income?
I make about $80,000.
Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to run these calculations assuming 2 things. First, that your savings will grow at a 7% rate, not too aggressive and not too conservative. And second, that you'll be receiving Social Security. We're solving for the amount your nest egg would need to provide in order to match your current income, adjusted for inflation, assuming about 30% of that income will come from Social Security. If you prefer to exclude Social Security, we can run that scenario as well. But for now, let's first solve for the scenario, assuming you will receive Social Security.
Okay.
To maintain the lifestyle you currently enjoy with $7,000 per month, you'll need a nest egg large enough to support withdrawals of $15,459 per month, adjusted annually for inflation. To achieve this, your nest egg needs to be approximately $2,459,000. The good news is that, based on your current savings and the $800 you're contributing monthly, you're projected to accumulate $1,652,132 by retirement. This leaves a gap, but the encouraging part is that it can be closed by saving an additional $900 per month. I understand this might feel challenging, but that's exactly why we're here, to figure it out together. There are several strategies we can explore, such as increasing your income, optimizing your budget, using the right investment vehicles, gradually increasing your savings, delaying retirement by a couple of years, or a combination of these. We can dive into those options later. For now, I just want you to be aware of the retirement gap and what it will take to close it. What comes to your mind when you see these numbers?
That we have work to do.
Now, let's take a look at the third event, which has to do with proper protection. The fact is, most people who have life insurance either don't have enough coverage, or even if they do, they often lack the right balance between term insurance and permanent insurance. This next exercise will help you determine how much of your coverage should be term, how much should be permanent, and why, based on your specific situation. Okay, for this step, we need to know if you have children. So how many dependent children do you have?
We have 3.
Now, if you add up all your debt, excluding your mortgage, what would that amount to?
I'd say about $28,000.
If you own a home, do you have a mortgage? If so, what is the balance on that mortgage?
Yes, we do have a mortgage, and we still owe about $275,000.
What would you say is the current value of your home?
We'd say it's around $650,000. Maybe a little more, but let's use $650,000 for now.
Okay, let me calculate your net worth for this scenario. Now, this is an important question. Of the $185,000 you have in savings and investments, how much of that is in pre-tax accounts like an IRA, 401k, or 403b, meaning retirement accounts?
Oh, I'd say it's about $150,000.
Okay, now this next section under long-term care, where you see $9,000 for 3 years, is something I suggest we include in the planning. That's because the probability of needing long-term care and living benefits increases with age, and we want to make sure you're properly covered. Currently, the average monthly cost for long-term care is about $9,000. And as I mentioned earlier, the average duration people spend in care is approximately 3 years. Now, let's add the term and permanent coverage you currently have to find out what the gap is. Joe, how much term insurance do you have?
My policy is for $500,000 in term insurance.
And how much permanent insurance do you have?
I have a whole life policy for $100,000.
How about you, Carol? How much term insurance do you have?
My term policy is for $300,000, and I don't have any permanent type of insurance.
Got it. Thanks for sharing that. So now let's calculate and identify the gaps. What we see here is that Joe has a need for $1,288,000 in term insurance to be properly protected. He currently has $500,000, which leaves a gap of $788,000. This is the additional amount needed. We also see that based on the Life W analysis for permanent protection, Joe needs $494,500. After accounting for the $100,000 in permanent coverage he already has, that leaves a gap of $394,500. Looking at Carol, we see she has a need for $1,238,000 in term insurance. Subtracting her current term coverage leaves a gap of $938,000. And her gap for permanent coverage is $455,000. So, Joe and Carol, before we move forward, I want to be very clear about something. Now that we clearly see there is a coverage gap, both in term and permanent protection, my number one goal today is to help close that gap. That means making sure your family is properly protected regardless of what else we decide to do in the future. Whether we work together long-term or not, I want to leave you better than I found you, and I can only do that by helping you take action to protect your loved ones today. Would you agree that protecting the people you love is the most urgent part of the plan?
We agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
You know, financial planning takes time. Strategy can wait, but life doesn't always wait, and proper protection cannot be delayed. Whether or not we move forward with the rest of the plan, I want you to know your family's protection is the first and most important step. The good news? Protection is extremely accessible, and we can put the right solution in place today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. If the solution is simple, affordable, and can be set up today, wouldn't it make sense to take that step now?
We agree. It makes sense.
Because if something happened to you tonight and you didn't have the right coverage, we would both regret not having handled it when we had the chance. That's not acceptable to me, and I know it's not acceptable to you either.
Yes.
Transition to the financial needs analysis, FNA.
Great. Now that we're aligned, let's move into your financial needs analysis. This gives me a complete picture of where you are and what we need to consider moving forward. Everything we discuss is 100% confidential and strictly used to tailor your recommendations.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Joe, let's start with your take-home income. Then we'll go through savings, debts, assets, and goals.
They go through the FNA together. Closing the meeting.
Fantastic. We've built a strong foundation today. Most importantly, we addressed your protection needs, and we're moving in the right direction. I'll analyze everything we gathered and build out the remaining parts of your financial roadmap. Would next Tuesday at 3 p.m. work for our second meeting?
That works for me.
Same here.
Great. Now, let's review the rates for the term insurance so we can cover the gap. Using the information from the FNA, we can fill out the application for underwriting. If we submit the first month's premium, I can leave you properly protected, regardless of what happens with the rest of the plan. We'll start by securing the term portion, which is the most urgent, and then explore the best strategy to close the gap for permanent coverage and determine the most efficient way to pay for it. Proceed to review the rates to cover the amount they need in Term Insuranic to cover the gap, and take the application with the corresponding company. Once you are done, proceed to end the FERT meeting. Okay, so now that the applications to close the term insurance gap, how do you feel about it? Great, thank you again. You both were amazing to work with. I'm excited to show you what's possible. Now, let's review the rates for the term insurance so we can cover the gap. Using the information from the FNA, we can fill out the application.
All right. So you guys can see that there's still a little bit of things, and that's normal in these scenarios. But what I wanted just to show you is that at least what happened to me, and the reason I think I survived and not be part of the statistics of 84% people not succeeding in this business, is because I learned sort of a script, a one way of doing it. Eventually, once you know it, then you can make it sort of your, your own style and everything. But I think in this business of duplication, acceleration, and then we need to have something that's structured like that. So,
Mauricio, one of the things I wanted to say about this too is that I look at this as an incredible recruiting tool, because in my mind now, I can go recruit all these people, or Debbie can go recruit all these people knowing that she doesn't have to train him on all this.
Yeah.
Think about that. Even if it doesn't get any better than what you just showed us just then, look how far that is from what we've ever had. It's amazing. You go get a brand new person, they come in, they're like, where do I learn a sales presentation? First of all, they're going to learn it through field training, but then they come there and they learn it. Very simple presentation. So I look at that from a building perspective, and that's the way you need to always look at things. So great job today. Thank you so much.
my pleasure.
And also, if you're in Atlanta, we got a boot camp Saturday morning and early afternoon. We're going to be doing a deep dive on some of this stuff, so we're going to have fun. Tonight, we're going to be in Gwinnett. Listen, tomorrow night, the culmination of the Atlanta takeover will be at the home office, and we've got a special Zoom that's going to go out. You can invite people to that. We're going to be sending you out a link. It's a specific link to get people to that event. It's going to be fantastic. So don't bring them to the one tonight, because it won't be ready for prime time in terms of its Zoom ability. But tomorrow night, you'll be getting this. We'll be putting into the chat, sending it out to you. So get your people, especially those of you around the country, to want to be there, part of the power. It's been a great energy. It's electrified us in Atlanta. So thank all of you for being on. And we appreciate you guys being here. Go make it happen. Let's fill the rooms up tonight if you're in Atlanta. We're expecting a Latino domination tonight in Gwinnett, so let's make it happen. Thanks, guys.